Well, hello there.
Hello.
Wait a minute. LPVOs have downsides? How is this possible? All the influencers told me, they promised me, the LPVO was the best and I could shoot out to 800 yards with it, no problems. How could this happen? Now I need to sell my LPVO and get a 2 to 10 or a 2.5 to 10? Or a 3 to 15, 4 to 16, 3 to 18 with a dot on top of it? What the fuck?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
So I got turned on to this topic in the first place by Hop and Brassfax talking about it. Was it Brassfax on Hop's channel or Hop on Brassfax channel? I think it was Brassfax on Hop's channel.
That is correct.
Then I saw the cringe panic comment threads on how LPVOs are bad now because some people brought up that they have downsides. So that's what the genesis of this video is. Someone also asked me to do an LPVO video in the comments on a previous video, so here we are. I don't think this is gonna satisfy that. I might eventually do a what LPVOs I recommend based on what I've used and what works best for me. But anyhow, one of the videos in question comes from a police department sniper who I'm gonna leave alone because he has a smaller channel. And he's friends with Dino Boy, and honestly I've never had good things to say about this particular channel, so I'm not going to say anything. But this particular YouTuber also fancies himself an instructor. He's saying ditch your LPVOs for a medium power optic with a dot. It's a lower end magnification medium power optic. It's a 2.5 to 10 or 2 to 10, whatever. First off, consider the source. Secondly, consider the source's shooting style and preferences. And third, let me break down some things for you here. First, foremost, and always, mission dictates gear is one of the most important things in the universe. It's a cop-out sometimes, I'm not gonna lie to you, but more often than not, it's important advice. What it means to us here in this context is the importance of selecting a proper optic to meet your mission set or your intentions with that optic. You're setting off on a mission to do X, Y, and Z, and you need that optic to complement what you're trying to do. And from what I can tell from most of the people crying and bitching right now about LPVOs having downsides, never run their shit in the first place. They're overly sensitive and they're mob mentality gear queers. They have no time behind their optics. What they do is they go online, they see what's aesthetically pleasing based on Instagram posts from their favorite influencers, or what video's hot right now, or let me chase this setup, or let me chase this optic because so-and-so uses it. Has nothing to do with what they're actually trying to do. They buy it so they can post pictures of it and say, look at how cool I am. They go to the range, it's not zeroed, and it's so they could say, hey, look how cool I am.
Dodson, we've got Dodson here. See, nobody cares.
And a little note, I will give some credit here. Influencers and shills bear some of the blame. They almost never cover downsides of optics. If they do, it's a few seconds or a quick footnote that you're definitely gonna miss in a 20 or 30 minute video. Some guys are more honest about it than others, but by and large, these are just puff pieces. And that's why personally I try to put extra effort into emphasizing shortcomings on optics on my channel. And because more often than not, you're buying these things sight unseen. Your local gun store doesn't have them to play with, or they stock lower end stuff. Whatever the reason is, most of my optics I've had to buy sight unseen. Other reviewers like C does an incredible job, and very few others do a good job about listing shortcomings.
What do you think, Antonio?
Good.
But glossing over things like fisheye, eye box, eye relief issues, or clarity at range when you have the ability to measure it, or when it's demonstrably and objectively bad, just to make sure you keep those sponsorships or those paid review dollars from Leviathan Group coming in, is fucking irresponsible. Boo! There's a lot of reviewers that do it. It's just an ad read. That's all they're doing. It's an ad read. And it's in the format of a 30-minute video trying to sell you something. Or sometimes a 10-minute video, who knows? But that out of the way, I agree with Hop and Brassfax on all optics have downsides. Every single optic has a downside.
Don't do this.
No.
For instance, my favorite dot is a Comp M4. I've used it on my issued M4 before. Super stellar optic, Really love it. Fast and easy to use. 30mm tube. Nice field of view. But what isn't it? An LPVO, and it's also not a T2. So it's larger, heavier, larger footprint. So I give up some of the cool things that people look for, like in a T2, but a T2 is really constricted for me. Where the Steiner P4XI is a little larger than the Comp M4, it gives me 1:4 magnification, the reticle's pretty quick, and honestly, not too many drawbacks. But those are trade-offs I have to make, and the Comp M4 still has a very viable place. And some trade-offs are worth the benefits that you gain from using that. So the Steiner P4XI is 17 ounces plus the mount, where your Comp M4 is lighter and a much smaller signature on the rifle. But with all that out of the way, the LPVO is designed to be an optic that gives you increased range, PID, something fast and easy on a fighting rifle, and give you more advantages versus running a red dot at range, which they do, and handily. Most LPVOs are not a bother to the people using them. There are some out there that don't have the same quality, and there are some that are way too much ass for what you're trying to do. Nowhere in that description, though, says it will be excellent at everything and make up for your lack of skills or practice or do things for you. Same with all the optics on the fucking planet.
Damn it!
It's an option in a wide variety of available optics to give you capabilities within its feature set. That's what you have to look at. So if you're going to be upset that X optic does certain thing better than this optic because building the SPR is the flavor of the week, but are you going to be super fast clearing buildings? Probably not. And again, the idea with optics is to give you the most amount of positives with the least amount of negatives for your application. It's going to look different for everybody. Some feature sets will help people and some will cause the greatest amount of headaches for others. Optic reticles and all that are subjective, always. And that's not going to stop because someone's butt sad about it.
Fuck.
The thing you need to be able to do is get on target, PID, and press accurate shots faster than your adversary. As long as their performance is good, they can get it done to standards and win. That's honestly all I give a shit about. If they're throwing stuff on there for a clone build or to make someone else think they're cool, but it truly doesn't work for them, that's stupid as fuck. Whoever does that is AIDS. I hate that shit. It's so annoying. They'd be like, whoa, my clone correct build, and then they can't shoot it accurately. Or they're running a dot with the iron sight in the rear and it's occluding their vision and they just won't take it off because it's not clone correct. Oh man.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way.
Now I know some of the smartest rocket doctors amongst us are gonna say, wait a minute, you mean to tell me a 50mm objective is better than a 24mm objective? It depends on what you're trying to do, bud. Are you trying to see things further out? Are you pushing past 500 yards? Yeah, of course this 3-15 T5XI or a 4-16 Night Force is gonna see things better with a 42, 50, or even a 56mm objective than this little tiny ass 24mm objective that's commonplace on almost every LPVO. Some optics got smart and are running the 28mm objective, like this Trigicon AccuPower or the Credo 1:8. Great optic, by the way. But by and large, you're working with a smaller objective. So even a 2-10 by 32 is going to gather light and have a better image than a by 24. And there'll always be exceptions to the rule. The Vortex Razor Gen 2 or the Night Force Attacker 1:8, they're going to have phenomenal image and light transmission because of the glass they use. But by and large, a 24mm objective is going to get dunked on by a 50. But guess what? This gun, yes, I know it's an MR762, but this gun is not going through a house nearly as fast as something with an LPVO on it. And currently, even with 1-10 offerings, there's nothing that's going to be performing to the level of a medium power variable optic like a 3-15, 4-16, 3-18, the Loophole Mark V. There's nothing that's going to do that in an LPVO package. It's physics. But there are options out there, and there are trade-offs. So if I'm running a Night Force Attacker 1:8 or a Trigicon 1:8 or a Schmidt and Bender 1:8, you have price considerations, you have weight considerations, a lot of stuff going on. And as much as I love this Trijicon, as imperfect as it is sometimes, it's very consistent for me, but it's chunky. It's a chunky girl. But I have phenomenal light transmission, and C-Does demonstrated the optical clarity at distance, which is not found in a lot of LPVOs, quite frankly. So again, trade-offs.
Damn it!
And another piece of this puzzle, and it goes back to the type of shooter and consider the source, is if you're someone trained to shoot a distance, right? Your main focus is, I want to lay down and I want to smack shit at distance. Then, of course, you're going to favor an optic that does that for you, right? When I'm doing that kind of shooting, I want to see the best I possibly can. And that's really what all this boils down to. I don't want a red dot on top of my MR762 trying to shoot out to 800. It doesn't make sense. Same thing with a 1:8. I really don't want to be using a 1:8 on an MR762 to shoot out to 800 yards or meters. That's what this 3-15 is doing on top of it. I match the optic to what I'm trying to use it for. There's also a factor of these same people who don't go out and shoot. They're complaining about lack of visibility. It either comes from noobs with too much magnification or someone trying to continue to push their visual range further, or I want to see the entire target with crystal clarity at 500 yards and this 1:8 isn't enough. Something like that, right? Boys Against Nat Zero did a really good job in their posts on Facebook, but I'm hoping that they bring that back to their channel because they're doing incredible things. They showed the PID difference in different magnifications, iron sights, red dots, optics, and what you could do reasonably with those optics at 75 yards, I think, or 50 yards, something crazy short. And yes, it's better to have a certain set of capabilities within your optic and glass clarity, right? But some guys want to run their optics all the time at the maximum magnification to see as much of the target as possible, and it's kind of a noob mistake. You'll see someone running a 5-25 at 25 all the time, and it's not necessary. And the more you shoot, the more you learn, and the more you actually listen to the people that told you multiple times, hey, I don't use this thing at maximum magnification all the time. And you say, well, I have it. That's crazy. I can't see what I'm trying to shoot at. And then you realize that all of your errors are magnified and much worse at the higher magnification because all of your small movements cause a lack of confidence, and then you in turn continue to make those mistakes, right? So it stacks. It's a stacking tolerances or stacking errors sort of situation. So it's a telltale sign of an inexperienced shooter. And I know that because that was me. I did those things. I was inexperienced. I didn't have the equipment or skill set or anything when I first got this stuff. And I was trying to run it at max magnification all the time. And then the more I shot, the more confident I got, the further out I pushed the rifle and my skills and all that other stuff, I started to develop the things needed to succeed at those distances with the equipment. And then I started not shooting at maximum magnification all the time. I started realizing what I needed to do certain things at certain distances and all this other stuff. It comes down to running your shit, and these gear queers never run their shit. So of course they're gonna have complaints. And when you go to a discussion forum or you're on Facebook or you're in any of these places, you don't know most of these motherfuckers you're talking to, right? You don't know these people. You don't know their skill set. You don't know how they shoot at the range. You don't do the work, and then you're upset at the results. And it must be the equipment, or man, I can't do that. You know, and it's, again, a balance of influencers and people not telling the truth for people that are blind buying gear. But it's also, hey, get the fuck outside and use your shit. Go to the range, train, work out, do all this stuff. Because at the end of the day, you select the stuff that works for you, for the weapon you're building, and for the application you're pursuing. It's not up to anyone else. I don't care if you're in the middle of Montana, you watch YouTube and you take those recommendations, and then you're by yourself, dude. None of these people are going to be shooting with you. None of these people are going to come help you. None of that stuff. You have to build your own community, build your own squad or whatever. But it's up to you to do the work. So if you're buying these things just to make other people happy on Instagram or your favorite YouTube influencer or whatever, and that's the sole purpose you're buying it, then you're wrong. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I've fallen victim to it. Everyone has at some point in time. Someone will profess, this is the new hotness, you need to get this. You get it and it's not. Or you get it and it's not quite what you want. It happens all the time. Happens to me, happens to everybody. You're not wrong for that piece. But what you are wrong for, if this fits you, is you are not using your equipment. You're not going out there and training, or you're taking it to a range where you can only shoot 50 yards. Or 100 yards, and you think you're good, and then you start stretching it out when you get a different opportunity and you're like, holy fuck, I can't use this past 200 yards or something like that. You build yourself up with these false senses of security, running the same stuff all the time or not taking it out and using it or any of these things, and then you see a post somewhere, you see some influencer say something where, oh, this LPVO isn't really good for shooting past 500, or it's really hard to stretch it out accurately past this distance. Then you have a panic attack because you never ran it in the first place. Everyone told you it was good, and you built this little bubble thinking it's a fact, but it's really just someone's opinion on the internet. In closing, finding one that fits your needs might be a process. Then training with it. Don't go buy something for a fighting rifle or a GPR, then complain you can't do SPR work with it, or build an SPR, then tell me you can't do CQC or short boy things with it. It's dumb as hell, all right? Whatever you're trying to do is a series of trade-offs. So of course my 11.5 has a P4XI on it. Of course my 16-inch has a 1:8 on it. My 14.5s are all gonna have 1:6s. I'm matching what I'm trying to do with the equipment to give me the best capability. So yes, it's a struggle fest sometimes. And I get the want to be able to do everything like a video game, but that's not how the world works. A general purpose rifle isn't a hyper specific specialized piece of equipment, right? Your DMR is not gonna do 11.5-inch things. And there's probably another waste of time video I can do about the importance of maximizing your skills with what you have. But like I do with my P4XI, there's some shots I've made with that P4XI that I have no business making and hitting. But that's because I use it all the time. I got used to it. I love that little optic. Is it the best? Absolutely not. And you need to be able to answer for your setup. It has to work for you. I've said it 1,000 times throughout this video. Just because you're a gear queer influencer worshiper doesn't mean something sucks now. It's like those guys with Coyotes, and they're always shitting on the 3-valve guys, and they're like, oh, my stock Coyote can beat this 3-valve just because it has a 3-valve. It's a supercharged 3-valve that runs 11 seconds, but because you have your 12-second Coyote, it's automatically better. It's not how shit works. That old car isn't slow now, right? Just because it has a certain setup. It's the same thing with the P4XI. Like, it all comes back into training and what you can do with it. Just because the new hotness is out doesn't relegate your capabilities if you've trained with something to inferiority. That's just not how it works. And there's dudes that still run red dots just fine. They can hit it 300-400 yards with a red dot, and that blows me away because I can't do that shit. So the last thing I'm gonna say again is it's about matching the equipment that makes the mission easier for you. So that YouTuber I don't like so much, that might be the setup he needs to be successful, right? Having a 1:6 on a 14.5 might be what you need to be successful. It's up to you. I'm not running your shit. Garantham isn't running your shit. Hop or Brassfax isn't running your shit. I'm not running their shit. It's up to them to build out their options to meet their needs. Don't ignore the downsides like they don't exist. Understand them and push the limits of those downsides to see if you can work through shooting in different positions, or you're tired or you're sweaty or it's raining or any of that other stuff. Go run it in those environments and see what all of those downsides do to you, and if you can push through them and still win. That's what's important. And for the love of the good Lord, go train with your stuff. Hopefully this video made sense to people. And LPVOs don't suck now, just like red dots don't suck now, just like medium power or high power variable optics don't suck now. It's all about matching stuff to what you're trying to do. Thanks for watching. Take care out there.